pleased to bring you our feature presentation.
Thank you so much for having me today.
Thank you for coming. Yes.
Of course. And thank you, everybody else who has come out here today. I'm excited to get to chat with you a little bit today. So, I guess, are we okay to get started? Don't want to jump ahead of it if we're still kind of getting settled.
I think we're fine.
I'm
Okay.
just going to do a quick introduction.
Absolutely, of course.
Okay. Hello, everybody. Welcome. Oh, no, I'm not.
No, not yet.
Okay. Good now?
Yeah, good now.
Okay. Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's meeting of Beta Alpha Psi. Today we have PKF O'Connor Davies, Kayleigh Donnellan coming in to speak to us. So, hopefully it's a good presentation. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. So yes, I am Kayleigh Donnellan. I'm one of the campus recruiters here at PKF O'Connor Davies. Really, my role is to recruit for our internships, our entry-level roles, all throughout our Connecticut offices, our New Jersey offices, and our Bethesda, Maryland office as well. So I hop around from all different places, but my home office is actually located in our Woodcliff Lake, New Jersey office. So very familiar with the Jersey area. I've been to Fairleigh Dickinson quite often. So sorry I wasn't able to be there in person with you all today, but thank you so much for still hosting me via Zoom. So today, really kind of my plan for our presentation is I wanted to give you a presentation that gave you some really good information that I think is going to be really beneficial for all of you here today. So I wanted to talk about how to be a great intern. I'm sure all of you are at different stages throughout your college career, whether it be a freshman, a sophomore, junior, senior, or maybe even a master's student. And you're all probably thinking about internships, maybe in the course of looking for one, maybe thinking about them in a couple of years, or you might even be in an internship right now. So I thought that this would be a really great topic for us to touch on today. And really, I'll kind of wrap up the meeting by sharing a little bit of information about PKF O'Connor Davies and how you could potentially intern here at the firm. So I'll go ahead and share my screen now and really want this to be interactive. So if any of you guys have any questions, please feel free. I'll have your faces up on the side screen, so feel free to unmute yourself, raise your hand, ask a question. I really want this to be as interactive as possible today. So let me pull up my screen for you. Okay, perfect. Just confirming that everyone is able to see my screen okay.
Yeah, we can see it.
Perfect, perfect. Thank you so much. So, today I really wanted to talk with all of you about being the kind of intern that gets noticed in the best way during your internship and how you can raise the odds of an internship turning into a potential full time opportunity later down the line. So, really what I am going to be let me try to get my PowerPoint here. It's not moving. There we go. Okay. So to get a little bit more granular into what we'll be focusing on today, we really are going to be talking about the importance of internships, crafting a winning resume, acing your interview, and then some of the essential soft skills for an internship and really how to succeed within that internship. So, I first wanted to talk about the importance of internships. Internships are so incredibly important because they're going to provide you with the opportunities to apply what you've learned in the classroom and apply it to real world scenarios. They're also really going to allow you to get a sense of if you could see yourself working in this position once you graduate, and it helps you narrow down what you like or what you don't like to do so that you can better find out what the career path is going to be for you. So really wanted to share some of our own personal interns quotes with you today to really see how it's kind of being in the internship has benefited them. So this top one here is one of our interns, and they had mentioned that I gained actual workplace experience and learning things that could not have been taught in the classroom. My superiors did not put too much pressure on me, which really allowed me not to be afraid to make mistakes. And then kind of this last one here on the bottom, the best aspects of my internship experience were being able to go to the clients, work in the office, and also work from home. I was exposed to every working environment and they all exceeded my expectations. So, really kind of showing how they're getting to experience so many different things within this internship and they're being able to figure out if it's going to be a good fit for them. So now that we've talked a little bit about the importance of internships, wanted to talk about how you guys are going to go ahead and get started. Because all of you are probably in a different spot in the process of securing your next opportunity, which is totally fine. The most important thing that we can kind of talk about here today is just getting started. No matter where you are, whether you're a freshman, whether you're a junior, or whether you're a master's student, really the best place to start is by actively getting into the internship search and by looking at what's available. I really want to encourage you guys to keep in mind that specifically accounting is a very cyclical field. So we pretty much post and hire for internships, entry levels, kind of on a year to year basis and in the same cycle each year. So really want to kind of have you guys keep that in mind so that way when you're looking, you want to try to start looking for internships in the fall. Maybe you'll see some pop up then in the spring or the beginning of the spring semester. If you look outside of those times, you might not see as many internships open because those positions might have been closed, the deadline might have passed, or we might be currently running that internship program during that time. Another thing that I really want to stress to all of you is finding your fit. There are so many different opportunities here in the accounting world, and having an accounting major or going into the accounting field provides you with so many opportunities. You could work for a big four, a mid sized firm like PKF O'Connor Davies, or a boutique firm. And you can work in so many different places and so many different departments audit, tax, advisory. So I really encourage you guys to do as much research as you can by talking to individuals, going to career fairs, talking with your professors, and trying to narrow down what's going to be your right fit. Additionally, when you are getting started, I always give the recommendation of getting yourself organized. Maybe create a spreadsheet when you're looking to start applying for positions and log down what positions you've applied for, who you've spoken to, maybe timing wise of when you might follow up next. Really helps you keep you organized and keep track of all the applications that you're submitting and the interview processes that you're going through. Additionally, because you are going to be communicating with recruiters and professionals, I really do encourage all of you to also update your contact methods. And what I mean by this is some of you might not have an email address set up just yet, or even a voicemail set up. So I really encourage you to set up your voicemail, make sure that it's a professional voicemail so that recruiters and professionals can get in touch with you. Additionally, too, I would update your email address. Create an email that is going to be specifically for applying to jobs or submitting applications. This is typically going to be your first name, last name, maybe with a couple numbers after it at gmail.com or at yahoo.com. Reason being, is because we want you to make sure that you have access to all of this information even after you graduate. Sometimes with school emails, they change into an alumni account after you're kind of graduating after your 4 years. So you want to make sure you have a specific email that you use for those applications for internships and full-time opportunities. Additionally, too, I would recommend cleaning up your internet image. So try to Google yourself and see what pops up and try to edit that. Maybe make some of your social media accounts private or clean up any of your images online and making sure that you are portraying the brand that you want to for the recruiters and the professionals that you are going to be meeting with. Now going on, once you've started looking and you kind of know where you're going to start, you want to make sure that you have your documents ready to go. And most of the time, this means updating and optimizing your resume. Your resume is going to be the first impression for firms and recruiters. We are going to be looking at your education, your involvement on campus, your experiences that you've had, and also your skills. The reason being is that all of this information on your resume tells us things about your abilities and your skills, and we use these to determine whether or how effectively you can do the tasks, the roles that you've applied for. So it's really important to make sure that you're showcasing yourself to the best of your ability in that resume. Make sure that you've got your academic background on there, the classes that you've taken, where you're at in your college career. Show all the different organizations that you're involved in on campus, such as Beta Alpha Psi. You're all here and a part of it today. Make sure it's noted on your resume. Additionally, feel free to throw on involvement outside of campus. If you're a part of any volunteer organizations or you have a part-time work experience, those are all really amazing things to include on your resume and really help showcase your skills to that recruiter. Now, there's definitely a ton of room to personalize your resume to make it look and feel like yours. But there are definitely a certain number of formatting rules that we as recruiters recommend to make sure that your resume is easy to read and definitely highlights the universal information that we need to have on your resume. So, really, kind of, I recommend to follow these guidelines to make sure that you've got a professionally formatted resume. And what I mean by this is we really want your resume to be a short little introduction into you. So, we want to keep it to one page. We also want to make sure that we're using a clean and professional font. My recommendations are always to use Times Newman Roman, Arial, or Calibria. Additionally, sometimes it can be a little tricky to read if you go any smaller than a 10-point font. So I know you're trying to squeeze a lot of information onto that resume, but I do recommend keeping it at 11 or a 12 font just to make it a little bit easier for the recruiters to read. Another thing a lot of individuals get confused on is whether or not they can put bullet points on their resume. And I highly recommend this. You don't necessarily need to have full complete sentences on your resume. You really want to get to the main point. And by doing this and by utilizing bullet points, this can help you fit in as much information as you can on your resume without writing a full paragraph. Additionally, you want to make sure that you are putting your experiences in reverse chronological order on your resume. And what I mean by this is that your most recent work experience or volunteer experience should really be at the top of your resume because that shows me as a recruiter that you're actively working or that you have recently been working within the past year. There is such thing as recency bias. The recruiters want to see that you have recent experience. So make sure you're putting that most recent experience right up on top so it catches the recruiter's eye when they're kind of reading through that resume. Additionally, I highly, highly, highly recommend saving your resume as a PDF once you've completely finished your resume. Reason being is once it has been turned into a PDF, when you go to submit it to an ATS system, the formatting cannot be changed. When you submit it as a Word document, sometimes the way you submit it is not the way that it gets pulled out from an ATS system by a recruiter. Sometimes it might mess with the formatting. So the best way to work around that is just by saving it as a PDF and submitting it to an ATS system as a PDF. Now, talking about some finishing details with your resume, you've added all of your experiences, you've updated your graduation date, you've made sure everything fits neatly on one page, but you're not just done just yet. Before you submit your resume, you want to make sure that you have proofread everything. Nothing is more deflating than seeing someone list attention to detail as a skill but then having inconsistent formatting or multiple spelling mistakes. So you really want to have somebody, whether it's a friend, a family member, read over your resume to make sure that they are checking your grammar, your spelling, and that everything looks good to go for them. Additionally, what I do recommend is, again, like I said, saving it as a PDF. That's something that's really important. But I also do recommend updating it regularly. All of you are having different experiences every single semester and adding new experiences to your resume. So you want to almost kind of update your resume, I would say semester to semester, being here in college. Once you graduate, then I would say kind of update it as you have a new experience, but you're almost having new experiences every single semester. So that's kind of why I recommend once a semester for updating that resume. Now, I mentioned before, it's really important to have someone reread or look over your resume. I highly recommend, obviously, a friend or family member can be a wonderful resource to use, but they might not be that expert at reviewing a resume or what should go on a resume. You guys have a wonderful resource here at college, which is called your Career Service Center. And they are actually trained at looking at resumes. They speak to recruiters all the time and kind of what they're looking for on resumes. So these individuals really are a wonderful resource to use to look over your resume. Additionally, they provide services even on top of looking over your resume. They will sit down and go through an interview with you and do a mock interview. They'll give you some tips and tricks on creating a cover letter. They'll also maybe even help you work out an elevator pitch before going to a career fair. So highly recommend if you have not made the trip down to your career service center to do so and to meet with them over the next couple of weeks because they'll be a wonderful help to all of you no matter what stage you're at in your career right now. So, moving on from resumes, I want to talk about the fact that you've submitted your resume and now you're getting called back for an interview. I want to share a little bit about what is going to help you put your best foot forward in an interview. Now, there's several different kinds of interviews. You could do a phone interview, you could do a video interview, or an in-person interview. But I feel like those are pretty much self-explanatory. I really want to jump in at these last two, behavioral versus technical interviews. Because as a recruiter, this is kind of what I'm doing day to day. And I really want to focus in here on behavioral interviews. Now, behavioral interviews are meant to figure out how you've reacted to certain tasks or situations by asking about how you've reacted in the past. Really, this shows me your past behavior is going to predict your future behavior. So, really, we're going to try to get you to tell me how or why you chose to do something the way you did it, and give you the opportunity to share some of your knowledge and your skills that you use in that specific situation, because that's going to help me see how you're going to react if you were to come on board for an internship or a full time opportunity here at PKF O'Connor Davies. Now, the best way to answer these kind of questions is by using specific examples from your own past and kind of storytelling. Now, taking a look at this slide here, I have a couple of questions kind of listed out here. And notice how they're all referencing some of the past actions that you've taken in past positions. Now, this is kind of saying, tell me about a time you've made a mistake. What did you learn from that situation? Have you ever had to complete a task under time pressure? How did you handle it? Tell me about a time when you worked with a great team or a client. And then describe a time where you had to act as a leader. I'm really asking you for a lot of stories. So I want you to think about answering in a story like way. To kind of help keep you on track with answering the correct answer, I want you to think in terms of the STAR method. Now, when you are answering an open ended question, like tell me about a time when, sometimes candidates can get off on a little bit of a tangent. They start answering the question and then they go off and they start adding some extra details that don't really need to be added. The way to keep yourself on task and answering the question and making sure you're wrapping up that question correctly or that answer correctly is by using the STAR method. I want you to start off by telling me about the situation that you are in. Describe out the context. I then want you to talk about the challenge or your responsibility in that situation. Then I want you to tell me the steps that you took to either remedy that challenge that you were running into or that mistake that you ran into. And I also always want you to share the outcome and what you learned. Because again, even if it's not a positive outcome, if it's a negative outcome, I want you to share what you learned from that situation and how you're going to change your behavior and change your actions for the next time that you run into that situation. Really, when you're answering these questions, you are giving me a lot of details in that answer. You're showing me a lot of your soft skills, whether it's dealing with conflict, working under time pressure, and being able to manage out your time. Shows me that you're organized, that you're able to work in teams, and that you're able to communicate professionally. So I'm getting a lot of information about your soft skills and the way that you've utilized these soft skills by hearing about the stories of past positions that you've been put in, and that will really show me how you're going to react in a situation here at PKF O'Connor Davies. So, really, kind of when you're practicing, or the best way to really set yourself up for success within behavioral interviews is to practice. Come up with a couple examples of situations that you've been in the past, either at a previous job, volunteer experience, or even in a group project here at school, and kind of have those in the back of your mind. Then, pretty much when you get asked a question by a recruiter, you could pull from almost any one of those experiences to answer that question. Another really big thing that I recommend, like I mentioned before, is going to your career service center and going through a mock interview. The more you practice, the more confident you are going to be in your answers and in yourself, and that really comes across to the recruiter. So, highly recommend utilizing them and going through that mock interview. Now, wanted to sum up my advice on interviews kind of in this one slide. So we talked a lot about kind of that behavioral interview that you might be going through and how to answer those questions. But I do have some tips on just handling interviews in general. So before you go in for the interview, I want to really highly recommend that you are doing research on the company and on the role that you're applying for. Additionally, really recommend being on time. Remember, being on time is late, being early is on time. So always give yourself a little bit of extra time, whether it's virtual or in person, so that you're logging on a little bit earlier or you're showing up a little bit earlier before the start time to the interview. This definitely shows me that you're very prepared. Additionally, I highly recommend always dressing appropriately for interviews. It's always better to be overdressed than it is to be underdressed. Within the accounting profession, I always recommend going with business professional when going into interviews. Additionally, I do recommend coming in with some questions. And this really shows the recruiter that you've done some research, that you're very interested and passionate about the position. So have about 5 questions set for the end of the interview that you can go through with the recruiter, whether it's asking about the role, the responsibilities, how you might succeed within this position, or even asking the recruiter their own experiences there at the firm. Those are some always good questions to ask. Additionally, once you've finished up with the interview, that doesn't mean your role is done yet. I want you to make sure that you are sending out a thank you email to the recruiter or to the individual that you have met with. This is really going to help you stand out as a candidate. The reason why I say this is because it's actually very rare that I get a thank you note from a candidate. So whenever I do get a thank you note, I always make a note in my interview notes they sent a thank you note, because that can really, really stand out within the interview process. So, really, that kind of wraps up some of my advice on the interview process. Now that you've kind of gone through the interview process, let's say you've aced that interview, now you're going into your actual internship. I wanted to talk about some of the soft skills that will really come in handy when you're actually in the internship itself. Now, perhaps the most essential soft skill that I can talk about and that you can bring to your internship is going to be communication. And you've probably heard this from your professors, from the Career Service Center, from your families, friends. Communication is so unbelievably important. Being able to get your thoughts across to others, as well as receive information from your team, is key to getting through any day within an internship. And when I talk about communication, I'm talking about it in several different ways. However, I highly, or I think it's very important when we're talking about verbal communication, professional writing, and also active listening, because active listening is another very big part of communication. You want to make sure that you are listening to the individual that's giving you instructions or talking to you, that you are fully understanding what they're saying, and that you're not kind of starting a response in your mind before that person's even finished talking, because then you're not fully taking in everything that they're going over with you. So make sure to practice that active listening. Additionally, you always want to make sure that you are being as professional as possible in emails and Teams messages. Coming into an internship, you're going to be communicating a lot in writing. So you want to make sure that you're practicing that even now. Additionally, too, a big part of communicating is asking questions. And our partner, Brian Flynn, always kind of recommends this to anybody that's coming into an internship, is asking questions. Don't just nod and agree like you've understood. Our partners know you're coming in without previous experience and that you might not know what you're working on. They are there to answer questions. You're never going to learn if you don't ask those questions. So make sure, ask questions, ask questions, ask questions. I can never say it enough. Another really big soft skill that I think is very beneficial within an internship is being adaptable and having a learning mindset. I want you to be open to feedback throughout your internship and be open to new experiences. The reason being is having new experiences and getting more experiences is just going to give you more learning opportunities. I want you to go into the internship trying to put yourself outside of your comfort zone. When you stay in your comfort zone, you're not going to have a lot of learning, but when you push yourself and you take on additional experiences and additional tasks, you're going to learn something that you might not have never learned if you didn't seek that out. Additionally, too, when you are being proactive and seeking out those learning opportunities, the partner and the managers are going to notice that and they're going to see that, and that's going to help you stand out in their eyes. Now, I think I mentioned this before, that kind of when we're interviewing, a big thing that we're looking for is organization and time management. Because within the accounting world, there are deadlines that we're running into. I'm sure all of you guys have heard about the 4:15 deadline. We actually are on a deadline today, our 10:15 deadline. Our tax staff are working tirelessly to get everything in by, well, I think we passed the 5 o'clock. So hopefully they're all being able to take a little bit of a break right now from that deadline. But deadlines are really important and they come with higher client deliverables. So, really being able to manage out your time and prioritize tasks effectively is so unbelievably important. So, I want you guys to even start practicing this now before you have an internship, or if you're in your internship, you can actively work on this as well. Make sure that you're utilizing tools that help you, whether it's calendars, to do lists, or even project management softwares. Use what works for you. And if you're not sure what works for you, try them out and try to figure out what is going to be the best thing for you. When you are kind of working through a project or working on a tight deadline, track your time, see how you're doing and how long it's taking you to complete certain things. If you get to the end of that project and you look back and you say, wow, I kind of left a lot of that to the last minute, or, I was kind of struggling around this time. It seems like I was really focused on this aspect of the project, but this ended up being a little bit more important. Make sure you're constantly reflecting back so that you can adjust for next time around. And that way, for the next project, you know exactly how to manage out your time. You know to start it a little bit earlier on so you have a little bit more time to work on it. Or okay, I should be prioritizing this over this for this next project. So reflecting and adjusting will just help you improve for the next time around. Additionally, too, within accounting, there's definitely going to be those stressful times that come up during those busier times. I know I mentioned this before, communication is so unbelievably important in asking questions, but it's also important to ask for help and to communicate if you're overwhelmed. Instead of missing a deadline, talk to your team and let them know that you might be struggling or that you might need some help. Your team is going to rally behind you, redelegate out some work, or help answer questions in order to help get everything that they need to in by that deadline. Additionally, one of the biggest benefits of an internship is the opportunity to really learn from the individuals around you. I want you to take advantage of chances to work with others and create collaborative deliverables. Look for ways to contribute positively to the group work and be open to different perspectives on how to reach the team's goals. You never know what you don't know and where good ideas might come from that you might be able to steal for you. So, again, just be open. It kind of goes back to being having an open mind, being adaptable, be open to working with everybody and learning from everyone around you. Now, practicing and developing your soft skills are definitely going to help you succeed, but there's also some additional ways that will help you find success within your internship. And one of them is setting goals for yourself. Internally, you can set a goal for yourself and you can enter into the experience with a sense of what you want to accomplish. And that's actually going to help you accomplish things, or more likely to accomplish those things within your internship. Additionally, when you externally set a goal and communicate those goals to others, they really see that you are dedicated to working for the team and that you're motivated. So feel free to obviously set those goals internally, but also talk to your team about your goals. They can even help you reach your goals and give you some advice on that as well. Now, we talked a little bit about this, about being proactive and how kind of your partners will see this and this will really help you stand out. But I want you to look for ways to add value beyond just the assigned tasks. Maybe before you leave at night, going up to your manager and saying, hey, I'm wrapping up, I'm heading out for today. Is there anything else I can help you with today? Because when you do that, your manager is going to know that they can rely on you, and therefore they might reach out to you first the next time they have an opportunity to work on a really big client that you've always wanted a chance to work on. So, again, being proactive, taking initiative, taking the work off of others around you is really going to provide you with more opportunities and allow you to just get more exposure to the different clients, the different work that you're looking to learn during that internship. So, again, never say no, always kind of take on those new learning opportunities throughout the internship. Additionally, a big part of working in an internship is building professional relationships. My biggest recommendation to students in their college career or in internships is to network. Just build out that network as much as you can. Talk to your colleagues, other interns, your managers, clients, even, and expand out that network as much as possible. Attend as many company events as you can, or even at team meetings, or just be present in the office. That can make a huge difference. Additionally, too, that network doesn't just end after the internship ends. Make sure to keep up those relationships and keep up that network even after that internship. Reason being is we found a couple statistics where 85% of jobs are actually filled through networking. So this really shows how important it is to really grow your network, even starting off your freshman year. You might be thinking, oh, I'll wait a little bit, maybe I'll start sophomore year, but really starting freshman year is really going to help you get ahead of the pace, build up that network, and really open up more opportunities for you. So highly recommend network as much as possible in the internship and also at school as well. We actually have one more piece of advice from one of our partners. Lori Austin is based up in our Woburn office, and she really says every connection with someone is the opportunity to leave an impression, to let them know that you have a positive attitude and you want to help and you want to learn. So, really, when you are networking and when you're meeting people, try to make the best first impression and really make a positive impression on those individuals because they're going to think of you the next time there's an opening, reach out to you, or they're going to just be happy to answer any questions that you have. So, again, it goes back to networking. Just build up as many relationships as you can. So we talked a lot throughout this presentation about resumes, about interviews, about soft skills, and about setting goals for yourself and how to really succeed within the internship. But the end goal for a lot of you will probably be turning that internship into a potential full-time opportunity. Now, when you go into an internship, there's always a potential opportunity for that full time, but you really want to put your best foot forward to increase the chances of getting that full time offer. The way that you can do that is by being reliable and showing up consistently. Demonstrate your growth and add value to the company. Additionally, this seems very common sense, but I want to say this because it's so incredibly important. Make sure you're expressing your interest in staying with the company and that you're looking for those full time opportunities. And make sure you're following up with those recruiters and those managers. That's really what's going to help you turn that internship into a full time offer. Now, to kind of wrap up everything that we talked about, I really kind of want to have you guys start off with just assessing your starting point, reflecting on where you're at, your own skills, and your own goals. That's going to give you a wonderful start. Then from there, create a really strong resume, highlighting your strengths and your experiences. Have your career service center look it over, have a family member look it over, and then submit it into the application. Additionally, do your research. Explore companies, roles, and industry expectations and timelines. Find your fit and go for it. Additionally, network actively. Build out that network as much as you can. And then while you're in that internship, ask questions, seek feedback, reflect, and adapt. So really want you guys to really kind of take this summary slide and apply it to your day-to-day. Now, since I talked to you guys all about how to be a great intern, I do want to kind of just wrap up this presentation by talking about how you could potentially join PKF O'Connor Davies, whether it's for an internship or full-time opportunities. So, wanted to share that we are actively in our recruiting cycle for accounting. A lot of our cycles we start and open our positions in September, and then we kind of go through campus recruiting. We're on campus, like presentations here today. We're at career fairs, really talking to the students and going through interview processes. So, we actually have all of our open positions currently posted on our careers page. We are actively recruiting for our winter and summer 2026 internship opportunities. We also have some wonderful leadership opportunities for sophomores in our Leaders of Tomorrow program. And we also do have a wonderful freshman pathways program, which really gives a wonderful insight into public accounting and PKF O'Connor Davies. So if any of you are currently looking for opportunities, please know that you can reach out to me directly. And I actually have my contact information here on the slide. I am going to be the best contact for all of you in New Jersey. And I can really kind of, if you're outside of New Jersey, connect you to one of our recruiters that oversees some of our other offices. But really, I want you to reach out to me directly, go onto our careers page, and take a look at some of those openings. If you're looking for internships, I highly recommend going on, looking through the winter time, through the summertime, seeing if there's one that's going to be a fit for you, and submitting your application. Highly recommend submitting your application as early as possible because we are currently going through the interview process and we do have a rolling application. So what that means is that our roles will stay open until we've completely filled them. So the earlier you get that application in, the better it's going to be. So just my recommendation there. But really, that's kind of all I have for all of you guys today. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your afternoon, especially when it's a beautiful day out, to come and listen to me. I hope I gave you some good information that will make a positive change in your internship search or your internship that you're currently going through. I'm always happy to be a resource, so please connect with me. Connect with me on LinkedIn, add me to your network, and I look forward to staying in touch with all of you. But before we kind of wrap up, I see we have some extra minutes. Does anybody have any questions that I could answer for you regarding internships, PKF O'Connor Davies, interviews, resumes? I'm really happy to answer any questions any of you have today.
Hi, Jason here. I don't know if you could see me. I have a question.
Absolutely.
So is there any, like, obviously, okay. Yeah, okay. Obviously we talked about like a lot of the essential skills today, but has there been any like newer trends or skills that have emerged in the past like 5-10 years that you see really stand out when like an applicant or someone working for the company has those skills?
Absolutely. So, to answer your question, with our internships and for our entry level roles, we as recruiters are really focused in on your soft skills. Reason being is technical skills are more so the different programs that you might be working in within an internship, Excel, those kind of skills that are going to be more specific firm to firm. So, we kind of look at it as though we will train you on the technical skills that you need coming into the firm. It's always a benefit to maybe have used Excel in the past, know how to work through it. AI is a very new up and coming skill that's going to be very beneficial, knowing how to input a prompt into a GBT to really get a good output. But really, where we're focused in on for internships and entry levels is your soft skills. I think that's kind of been always something that we've really focused in on. So, communication, time management, organization, and teamwork is going to be the biggest things that we're looking for because if you have those soft skills, we really can train you on any of those technical skills. So, that's really what we're focused in on at that intern and entry level.
Hi, wait, let me get over here. Okay, I'm Lane. I also have a question. So when a cover letter is optional, you know to put it, but how do you make it enhance your resume rather than just be a summary of what's already on your resume?
So, wonderful question. So, your resume is pretty much a quick snapshot into you. It's not really jumping or diving too much into your goals, what you're looking for. It's more just giving kind of information on your past experiences. I think your cover letter can be something that can really help you stand out, especially when it is optional, because when it's optional, seeing that cover letter be added already shows me that you took the time to go through and write a cover letter. So, you're really interested in this position in this company. And that's something that's going to make me stand out just in itself. But when you're going through and writing that cover letter, I would really speak to your own passions and really what your goals are, showing me and telling me why you got into accounting, what you learned in this internship or this volunteer experience, and how you really think it's going to benefit or translate over into an accounting internship is definitely always helpful. But I really would focus into sharing a little bit about what your goals are and really kind of what brought you into the accounting world because every story is going to be very unique and specific to that individual. So I would highly recommend kind of adding that into your cover letter on top of kind of expanding on some of your skills and your experiences that you've had in your resume. But I think that's something that's going to help you stand out in that cover letter as well.
Thank you.
Mhm.
I just want to jump in here. We have a number of finance majors. Does your firm look just for accounting majors, or do you also look for finance majors?
So it's a perfect question. So here at PKF O'Connor Davies, we have 4 different industry lines that we pretty much provide services in. We work with our auditing team, our tax team, and then our family office services team, and then our advisory team. Within our audit and tax practice, we really do focus in on students that are going to be going for their CPA down the road just because there are certain requirements by the SEC, AICPA for those individuals signing off on audits, financial statements, to have that CPA license. So for those audit and tax associate roles and audit and tax internships, we do have a requirement that you are going to be an accounting major. More so on our advisory side is where you're going to see the team's open to looking at somebody with more of a finance or an economics background. That more might fall into our risk advisory section. Cybersecurity looks very heavily at information, computer science, technology, as well as with our investment banking side. They look very heavily at finance backgrounds as well. So really, if you are kind of mainly focused in as a finance student, I'd recommend taking a look at our advisory section and seeing if any of those roles fit with what you're looking for right now, because that's where you're going to see them be a little bit more open to an individual that's not specifically on that CPA track. Any other questions that I could answer for any of you today?
We're in the frame.
Yeah. Does anybody, like she said, anybody have any questions? I think that's all for questions for today. But we really appreciate you coming to the meeting and talking with us, and it was very informational and for me, yeah, informative. Sorry, I lost the word.
Absolutely. Well, thank you all so much for hosting me today. It's been a pleasure getting to chat with you. I appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule. Not sure if you guys are either in midterms or wrapping up midterms, but appreciate your time this afternoon. I look forward to connecting with all of you on LinkedIn. And please feel free to reach out to me with any questions. So I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. Good luck on exams if you're in them. Look forward to staying connected with all of you in the future.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Well,